Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Find the Intersection. My name is Paul Dzay, and hey, it's Ash Wednesday and the beginning of Lent today. So we begin the Lenten journey towards the cross through the wilderness, and we reevaluate priorities and we reflect upon our lives, and we ask the God to share adjustments that we need to make in our lives, repenting of the things that are not part of God's plan for our lives. Today we're going to talk about Deuteronomy chapter 26 verses 1 to 11. Deuteronomy 26, 1 to 11. Can I be honest with you this morning? I read the passage and I was like, I wonder if I made a typo. Is that the right passage for today? Because I didn't connect the dots easily between Monday and Tuesday's passage to this one. But yeah, there are definitely some connecting points, but it is Deuteronomy chapter 26, 1 to 11, so there is no typo. This is a little bit more of a challenging read because there's some context built in there. The context is Moses, God are giving instructions of what the Israelites are to do when they get into the promised land and it's settled. And they're talking here about like a harvest festival, in the sense maybe the festival weeks where they celebrate what God has given them through the agriculture, and then they give back. All right. So a few things that jumped out to me in this passage. Number one, there is it seems to be there's a ceremony going on, like a liturgy. So it starts when you get into the land. It says you are to take some of the first fruits that you grow in the land that God has given you, and then put them in a basket and to the place your God set apart for you to worship him. And then it says, go to the priest, and then you recite a whole section here. So definitely seems like a ceremony, a liturgy in which we give an offering. And, I think that this is important stuff, this whole idea of ceremonies, because words matter, right? And we've talked about that before at Southside. Believe that words matter. And I think here what we see is these ceremonies have a point for the people to remember where they've come from. And it's important because if you don't remember where you come from, then you can't really live in the presence according to the wisdom that you gained from the journey from the past. So I read this in a commentary. Let me see if I can find it. It's pretty cool. It said, Deuteronomy knows that when people forget its past, it loses both its present and its future. It's John Newsom. I like that. Deuteronomy knows when a people forgets its past, it loses both its present and its future. So what we see here is this ceremony, this liturgy, is to help Israel, God's people, to remember where they've come from. And so let's dig in. Another thing that I saw in this passage was this confession. It's this long confession that the instructions say for the individual who's given the offering to recite. And it talks about where they've come from. It talks about the wandering Armenian, and then which is Jacob, and they went down to Egypt, and they were enslaved. They became a great nation, but they were enslaved by the Egyptians. And then they cried out to God, and God saved them and has brought them to the promised land. But here's the interesting thing. At the end of that confession, it says, so here I am. I brought the first fruits of what I've grown on the ground you gave me, O God. So there's this reciting, and then there's this offering to God, a confession. This is God's stuff. He owns it all. And now we're giving back a portion of that. Because God has blessed us in this promised land. He's blessed us to bring us from slavery to where we are. That's an interesting little thing. The third thing that I saw in this very last verse was celebrate all the good things that God, your God, has given you and your family, you and the Levite and the foreigner who lives with you. So there's this sense that it's not just an individual idea here to give the first fruits. The first fruits have this ability to help other people. So the Levites were the priests. They didn't have a land. They were there to serve the Israelites, kind of like pastors today. And so it says to take care of the Levite. and the foreigner, which would have been a refugee, somebody who has come alongside the Hebrew people, and they've kind of been adopted in as they work alongside the Israelites. Some of them are slaves and different things, but they're to take care of them. And that's because God is forming a new humanity. He's forming a different people. Where in Egypt, the slaves and the servants were treated poorly, here the foreigners, the refugees, are treated with grace, and so that's beautiful. So there's an element of justice that's going on in here. So first thing I saw was the ceremony. The second thing I saw was the confession, and the third was the justice of taking care of the Levite and the foreigner. So yeah, that's what I got this week. So today, so for my reflection or my application today is how am I called to confess Jesus today? And so on this Ash Wednesday service, Ash Wednesday service tonight, I'm going to be confessing through participation and offering of my life. And this Lenten journey is a confession. It shows where I'm going to be reflecting about where I've come from. I'm going to be reflecting of my priorities. And so I come like the person offering the first fruits. I tonight will come and say, here I am, Lord. You have given me everything that I am and everything that I've been a part of in the past. And here I am, Lord. And I remember where I've come from. So take me and guide me through this Lenten season. So that's the application that I got for today. Anyway, hope you have a great Ash Wednesday. Find a church to go to. Let's see. Hey, Barry, how are you? I had my coffee. Good. I am still working on mine, trying to wake up, Barry. So I need much more coffee this morning. But anyway, hey, I hope you have a great day, everybody. Grace and peace. I will see you tomorrow as we talk about the Psalm. Enjoy your Ash Wednesday today. See you.